Hello everyone, welcome back to another video. Today we're back in AFK Journey, and in today's video we're going to be doing a King Croaker Dream Realm boss guide for the new season. Again, I want to carry on doing all the Dream Realm bosses because now we have a really good idea of who are the best possible heroes to be running to maximize your damage and which artifacts to be using as well. Before we get into that, you guys will have noticed that there is a new rate up banner, which is Soren, who's an A-level hero. And in terms of his kit, he's kind of like a tank that has some knockdowns, stuns in his kit, but he doesn't seem too game-changing, so I wouldn't recommend, or I'm not going to try to recruit him on his rate up. And in fact, what I'm going to try to do now is really save all the rate up tickets I get for when there's a hero which comes out, which I think is going to be like maybe game-changing, and then you can try to get it to Mythic Plus right away. Because, yeah, I feel like if we always open up on the rate up banners, and that's what I did for Elsa too, and I kind of regret it because I would have had more tickets to use for future heroes that might come out, because I haven't used Elsa at all pretty much. And yeah, so that's basically my advice, but it's up to you. It is up to preference. If you like these heroes, or if you want to get one copy of each, then you can go for it. But eventually those heroes are going to be moving over to the all hero recruitment or wish list, and you will be able to get them there as well. Okay, so without further ado, we're going to do our first attempt of the Dream Realm, King Croaker boss. Okay, so the heroes which are going to be must-haves here, and you cannot replace, like in yesterday's video, it's still going to be Smokey and Odie. Because Smokey is just the best sustain, attack, buff, haste for your team, and you need that healing for the King Croaker boss because his bubbles keep working down your team. You need the sustain. Odie is the most consistent damage dealer. He gets off more damage than even Merrily. Maybe because we're in an earlier game stage against the bosses, or just Odie is just really strong in general. So Odie and Smokey, they have to be run here. Even if you don't have them very ascended, they are both going to do well and work out well for you. If you're in an earlier game stage, you can put Smokey in the back and put like a tank in the front, so that Smokey doesn't take extra aggro from the boss. Then we have Thorin. Now Thorin is going to be the best option here. Even if you don't have a Mythic Plus and you only have one copy, you still want to use him, because what Thorin is going to do for you is he's going to buy 2 insta-kills from the boss, because all other tanks can only take 1 insta-kill. But Thorin resurrects, so he can take at least 2, and if you have the Soul Pact effect, which comes at his Mythic Plus, he can actually take 3 insta-kills from the boss, and then the boss will not be insta-killing anyone other than Thorin. Because the King Croaker boss, he throws his bubbles at your entire team, dealing massive damage, but he also has an insta-kill effect, which no matter how tanky you are, it's going to one-shot your hero. So Thorin with the multiple lives counters that, and that's why Thorin is a must-have here. And then also Soul Plunder effect increases the damage the boss takes by 17%, so he's also a good debuffer to be running here. Now for the remaining slots, this is up to preference. We're going to want another debuffer.
The world
Because even though we have Thorin, if you can debuff the boss further to take even more damage, then that is going to be better for you. And Rainier is going to be the best form of additional debuff you can run, because then the boss will take 25% additional damage, and your you can buff up your key damage dealer, like for example Odie here. And Odie being in the front line doesn't change anything. The boss still targets whoever is your frontmost enemy here, so he will be attacking Smokey. And Thorin, until Thorin dies, but Thorin, if he has Soul Pact, is not going to die until all insta-kills are used up, so Odie will be safe, being teleported into the front. And but if you don't have Rainier at Mythic Plus, you don't want to run him. You only want to use him if he's Mythic Plus. Otherwise, Kruger is another good form of debuff. He's another tank that can be tanking the front line, and especially if your Thorin is not Mythic Plus, Thorin can take 2 insta-kills, and then Kruger can take the 3rd one. So that works out pretty well. But he's going to be a defensive debuffer, so you're going to want to run some physical damage dealers along with him if you're running Kruger as well. And Merrily is a good option. Now, some people, and like you will have to experiment with it on your account, but some people say just go for Odie as your single damage dealer and go for Coco for more support and keep everyone alive. And I think in the early stages, Coco as a support and like running like a comp like this, or even a comp like this, something is maybe going to be your best option, because Coco will keep your team alive better than any other hero. It will almost guarantee that you make it until the 0 second of the boss timer with your practically your whole team being alive. which is an advantage. But if you can make it most of the boss's life already, like most of the countdown of the timer, then you want to have more damage in here, because Coco is not going to increase your damage, or very negligibly increasing your damage. So if you need the tankiness, then you can go for this team. This is going to be a really good option, Coco as a support. But if you want more damage, this is the team that I've been running, and I feel like this is the strongest team I can run. There are alternatives for Marilee. Marilee, first of all, if you're using Marilee as a secondary damage dealer, she needs to be Mythic Plus. If you don't have her at Mythic Plus, come on, Corin at Mythic Plus can work, or even Cassidy at Mythic Plus with plus 10 exclusive equipment is what you need. So this is more of a late game thing, because then she really will ramp up the damage, magical damage that you deal with Odie, for example, and she will also power up your basic normal attacks to increase and deal bonus magic damage. But Marilee at Mythic Plus is, in my opinion, the best damage dealer. Cecia can be used if you don't have any of the other heroes at Mythic Plus and you just like an earlier game team. Like I think I would recommend a team like this for like really early game, where you need the survivability from Coco and you still have 2 damage dealers with Cecia, who will be dealing pretty good damage, and then Thorin for taking the insta kills. But as you progress, this is, in my opinion, the best team for me, and we're going to test it out and see how it does. And as for the artifact, it is like always, Star Shard, Evocation Spell, Quick Blade are all going to be the best artifacts you can run. They all are there to try and increase your damage. Evocation Spell is one of the tankier versions of the artifacts, and that will also give you some shielding and some life drain, which can help you survive if you're having difficulty surviving. But still, I don't think, like for me, whether I'm using Quick Blade or Evocation, I still die at the same time at the end, because as soon as Thorin is dead and all the insta-kills are used up, then he begins attacking the rest of your team a little bit harder. Yeah, so then that's kind of the issue. Okay, so we're going to try it again with Evocation Spell and see how long we survive. And then based on how long we survive, we can mix and match things. And I also want to do a damage test with Cassidy, because Cassidy is a very good option if you have her at Supreme Plus, plus 10 exclusive equipment, but that is more of a late game oriented thing. Like, you're going to probably have Marilee Mythic Plus, even plus 10 exclusive equipment way before you get Cassidy there, and Cassidy is not a priority to get to plus 10 exclusive equipment. Like Marilee, you're going to be using in multiple Dream Realm bosses. Cassidy can be used in multiple, but honestly, I don't feel like she increases your damage much more than running any other damage dealer, for example Marilee. And actually, I feel like Marilee will probably, for me, be dealing more damage than adding a Cassidy into the team. So as you can see here, we are going to be dying towards the end, but still, we get off a lot of damage, and we're going to see the damage chart after this run to see how much damage Marilee contributed. Because if I'm going to replace Marilee with Coco, yeah, we're going to survive until the end, but then we're only going to get an extra 15 seconds of damage, and I don't know if that's going to be a good trade-off. Got rank 8 off of that, which is good. Yeah, look at Marilee's damage, 3642. But now we're going to try it with the fully sort of protect the Odie comp, which can be good. And I haven't leveled up the levels of any other hero. Like, I just had Marilee and Odie leveled up. You want to level up 2 of the heroes on your team to the maximum level, but honestly, like, the other heroes hardly contribute any damage here, and they are going to survive for most of the fight, especially if we have Coco in here at Mythic Plus. We shouldn't have any survivability issues. But yeah, I'm interested to see, can we output more damage with fully protect the Odie comp. And then after this, I want to try Cassidy, so we'll get Cassidy up to level 300, swap it with Marilee. But my Cassidy isn't Supreme Plus yet. I need 1 more copy for it to be Supreme Plus, but I did get her to plus 10 exclusive equipment, because I got her to that point before we knew about the new season Dream Realm bosses. And with the previous Dream Realm bosses, Cassidy was one of the best damage dealer options for a couple of the bosses, and I was imagining that in the future, when we have more Dream Realm bosses or more bosses in general, having such a high form of increasing your damage like Cassidy is going to be a good idea. Okay, so even though we have 20 seconds left, I don't think the boss is going to use another insta-kill, so Odie is going to be safe. The boss is just going to keep spamming the bubbles now, and our team is going to be alive for longer, so yeah, we're going to get off more damage compared to the Marilee version with this team comp, but it will depend. Like, I mean, we didn't get off that much more damage, and it will depend how long you can survive. Like, for example, maybe if you're level 320 or 330 on your heroes, then you won't have this survivability issue, and then it's better to run double damage dealers. But if you don't, then this could be a decent option. Another thing to consider is just forget about Rainier and go for double damage dealers with Coco. And I want to try this team as well, because like Rainier will increase the damage up by 25%, but then you're losing out on potentially another damage dealer slot. Although, yeah, we still have the 3 fraction buff of 3 of a kind Mauler, so it shouldn't be too bad, but we lose out on faction bonuses as well. Quite a bit, because I think we only get, is it 10%, and it would be 18% with Rainier in here, because a 4 and 1 would be 18%, but 10% here. But having the double damage here, this is going to be interesting to see. And then we can also test it with the Star Shard spell, because Star Shard spell for raw damage is really good. And the haste is also nice, although you do get haste from this evocation spell as well, on one of the specific buffs that are granted to you. But yeah, I think, I just don't know, like you will come to a point where you're tanky enough and you don't need Coco for this boss, and Smokey alone will be enough sustain. But for me, I'm not at that point, so I think my best version of a team will definitely be including Coco. But it's just a question of who should you be putting here. Should we try Cassidy or should we have Merrily plus Odie? We'll try Cassidy as well after this. We'll swap Merrily for Cassidy and see if that does well for us. Okay, so with Merrily, it almost did identical damage, 46.87%, and I think the previous one was very similar to this, but Merrily did a lot of damage. 46.9%, they're almost the same. We can try, let's try Star Shard spell before we switch to trying Cassidy. Yeah, let's try this. Yeah, it's interesting because a lot of the teams, they kind of do similarly right now, and I guess it's just the fact that you're capped by your level, and all damage dealers will do a reasonable amount of damage at this current level. But yeah, like Rainier increases the damage everyone deals by 25%, but then you're losing out on a damage dealer slot. But once we can replace Coco, then I think having Rainier double damage dealer will be the best. But right now it's either you go for debuffer plus single damage dealer with Coco protection, or you go for double damage dealer with Coco protection, because for me, I don't think that, yeah, we saw in the first run that we died a little bit too quickly without Coco protection, so we will need to have Coco on the team. So again, Coco is going to be one of the best options for Dream Realm bosses, and another reason why you should have Coco on your wish list and be buying her from the Dream Realm shop after you have your Merrily and Merrily at Mythic Plus, and I believe in Supreme Plus, and OD at Supreme Plus too. But after those heroes are maxed out, and maybe even Corin too, then you can begin working on Coco, because she will help you a lot as well. Okay, so this did almost, they're all doing almost exactly the same amount of damage. Evocation did a slight higher amount of damage, but it could just be the variance, so we don't know whether Evocation necessarily is better. We have an equipment upgrade, but that is just for a tank. Thorn is going to be dealing a little bit more damage in the boss fight now, but it doesn't really matter. Okay, so the only other one I really want to try is Cassidy. Other than Cassidy, Corin would just be weaker than Merrily, so I would not recommend running Corin unless you could run like without Coco and go for Corin to try and keep your team alive with the shields, but I still don't think that'll work because the boss deals AoE damage with his bubble, and you need AoE protection, so Corin just shielding one ally I don't think is going to make a difference. Okay,
is for research.
So we can try, first of all, I want to try with Evocation spell, and we can try with Coco protection, so we should be able to survive throughout the fight. And this team is going to be less effective for me than it can be, because once you have Cassidy at Supreme Plus, her ultimate will decrease the boss's magical defense by 20%. I believe that's how it works. And right now she doesn't have that because she's just at Supreme right now. But she does have her exclusive equipment upgraded to the level which is needed. But yeah, I think it will just depend on which heroes you have. If you don't really have a built-up Merrily and you just have Odie, you can go for like full Protect the OD comp with Rainier Mythic Plus debuffer. Or Cassidy debuffer. So far 38 seconds down. And the boss, we need to beat around 47%. And that would be a new best. We can also go back to Merrily and try Quick Blade Spell. Merrily does well with Quick Blade Spell because it decreases the boss's physical defense. So we can try that. Cassidy is a good way of increasing your maximum damage potential, but she's more of a later game hero again. She's not that useful in the earlier game. Yeah, okay, so this dealt a little bit less, so I don't think this is going to be a better option. And if we try like the all or nothing, get rid of Coco and try Rainier like this is gonna be very risky. We're probably gonna die, but let's just see it. Let's just try it and see. Because again, when we tried the same comp with Merrily, we ended up dying around the 15 to 20 second. People were dying around the 20-second mark, and at 15 seconds we wiped. And then that is a problem because you're going to reduce your damage quite a lot by the waste of time. So it's better to survive a bit longer for the time duration. Okay, so earlier on we're going to be getting off massive damage. Yeah, we're shredding for the boss right now. I don't know if Smokey's damage counts as magical or physical. I would imagine it's magical because then Cassidy would be very useful buff for him. Cassidy is almost dead. Okay, this is a time we need to just ramp out as much damage as possible. Cassidy goes down. We need to be 47%. It looks like we might do it. But now the boss is going to take his reduced damage, and Thorn is dead, and Smokey is almost dead. It's really close, but now Odie is about to die. Because Odie is all alone. And yeah, so we're still going to end up getting off around... Whoa, okay. So Odie somehow by luck managed to survive a little bit longer, but I don't think this is to be expected. I think all of the teams that we tried basically are doing around about the same amount of damage. Gray managed to beat us now, but... yeah, I think he's shot up in power. Maybe he's bought something, so his level is now, he's out leveling us. But in the last few days, we have finished rank 7. And the other people we're competing with are Tragic, Meowny, Hydrox. And we are ahead of them for right now, and we should be able to hold it. Yeah, so as a kind of conclusion point, I feel like for me, Merrily, OD... Coco... Wait, did we get our best score with the team that we wiped on? We did until the Cassidy team, so we were wiping in all of the cases. Let's now try Quick Blade Spell with Merrily and see if we can get off a little bit more damage before we die. Yeah, I feel like Coco, if you're really having a tough time surviving, Coco is good. If you're surviving most of the fight like we are, then I think maybe just try to go for the RNG where you manage to survive just for a little bit longer and you can get off all your damage. Because having that extra damage is probably going to be better than survivability for Coco for me, for my team. But for you guys, I think it depends. It depends where you are and also which difficulty of the boss you're facing. Like if you're facing a difficulty of the boss where you're making it to like 80% of his health, then you do not need Coco to survive. You just need the raw damage to like push your numbers higher. But if you are facing the difficulty of the boss like I am, where we're barely getting 45%, that's when you're basically at a very difficult boss. Whoa, Smokey already died. Without evocation spell, Smokey died way too quickly. That's a problem. But again, it could maybe come down to RNG. With better RNG, it might have been possible for Smokey to survive there, and then we could have got more damage. But I think Quick Blade doesn't seem to be better than the other two options, Evocation and Star Shard. So that narrows it down. Like, in my opinion, I like to go with the seasonal ones because they are going to be upgraded and continue to be upgraded as you continue to play. And the stats they give, like the flat stats they give, are really... 11 crit is a lot. So I'm going to do one final run with this team. I do believe, just from my feeling, I feel like this is the team that has the highest potential for getting off damage for me. And with good RNG, I think it will do the best. And with this artifact as well. But we've tried all the other versions and all of them do pretty similarly, and it just kind of depends on how difficult your team is having a time of surviving. And if we are having a more difficult time surviving, then definitely Coco would be in here. We would not replace Coco. And then we could just decide, do we get rid of Rainier and have less debuffing potential and add in Merrily as a damage dealer, or do we just go for single damage dealer comp? Should we try another time with OD, Merrily, Smokey, Thorin, and Coco and get rid of the Rainier? Okay, good. We're all surviving. This is what we needed. So Evocation Spell is allowing us to survive. If we can just survive a little bit longer here, we can easily beat our score. Yeah, we beat it. We beat it, and whoa, but they all got popped in the back. But I think with good RNG, he probably crit us in the back. Like, maybe if just one or two could survive in that back line there, it would be a higher damage output. But I do believe, for me, this is going to be the best team. So if you have an invested Merrily, it doesn't have to be plus 15, even at plus 10. I think she might be the best option as a damage dealer here. But you can experiment with Cassidy. However, I feel like, from my experience, Cassidy, even though I built her up, and I do think she will have some uses, it's not like she will have many uses. She's very similar to Shakir, and even Tamisio to an extent, because, like, Shakir is the best in the Snow Stomper boss, Tamisio is the best in the Necrodraken boss, and Cassidy is, I don't know where she's best, but she will be best somewhere, but it's best by a really small margin. Like, you could use a replacement for these heroes without sacrificing your damage by much. But for example, OD is like a hero, and Smokey. Well, Smokey is an S level hero, but anyway, these are heroes which you will use in almost every Dream Realm boss. Rainier Mythic Plus as well, and Merrily. Merrily is like if you have a list of Smokey, OD, Rainier, Mythic Plus, these are the top 3 probably you use all around Dream Realm bosses. But Merrily, I think, would be 4th. Maybe Thorin, maybe Merrily. But so Merrily is a really worth it investment. Corrin has become less worth it because he's not really used much right now, but I think he still is fine. But for right now, like Shakir, Corrin, Tamisio, and Cassidy, these are not super high priorities for your Dream Realm teams. They are, eventually you will want to get them maxed out, plus 10 exclusive equipment. Tamisio doesn't need it, but the other two, Cassidy and Shakir, need it. But they're not a super high priority because you can do just fine without them. But anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you for watching. Hopefully this helps you improve your score on the King Croaker boss. And that is going to be it for today's video. Yeah, not much more to update. Tomorrow I want to do maybe a Battle Drills guide, or we will do maybe two videos, because Saturday a Battle Drills guide and also a Dream Realm boss guide, because I want to keep doing the Dream Realm bosses until we've updated all of them. But I want to do Battle Drills as well, because there are some teams which do really well for like Stronghold and for the bosses, and you can just then always lock those heroes in each time Battle Drills comes around and then just go for them. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Thank you for watching. That is going to be it for this one, and until the next one, everyone, peace out for now, and I hope you enjoyed the video.